I've read somewhere that you have been writing ever since you were in grade school, like little kid.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, when you first started writing, were they the same types of stories that you write now? Or walk me through the process of you becoming a writer.
Okay, recently when I moved into a new house, I found a box that had an old journal in it, and it had an orange cat on the cover. And inside, I looked through, and I found this little story I'd written. I don't know how old I was, but this was back when I still lived in Pennsylvania, so I was 4 or 5, I don't know, I was really young, talking about this cat who goes, you know, it's like a page, but like a little cat who goes on an adventure. So, you know, that, and then when I, you know, drawing pictures when I was little of princesses and also though people, quote, going on adventures. And then when I would play with my, you know, I'd have my favorite cardboard box or my favorite blanket that I'd hide under, and I'd have my dolls. And there were mountains that they were climbing, and they were going on adventures. So really, not much has changed. You know, the scope is larger, there's more death, there's more sex, but you know, people are still going on adventures in my stories, yeah. So.
What about your own adventures? I know that you're a world traveler, you get out a lot, and a lot of those settings, and a lot of those settings actually end up in your books. Where do you like to go the most?
You know, I love traveling to China, I have to say. And, you know, China ends up in my books a lot, which I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing, because I don't want to become like a one-note wonder when it comes to, you know, the international scope of my books. But I'm there a lot, and I love it. It's dynamic. I walk down the street in the morning, and every day there's something new, and there's a new story. Like there's this woman that walks around every morning with a giant parrot on her shoulder, and the parrot speaks Chinese. And I mean, it's just this thing, you know. You don't think about small things like that, but they hit you, and you know, you wonder what that lady's story is. And then just maybe another block down the street, you see this old man with the most beautiful grandchild, little girl, and you know, she's playing in the sidewalk, and he's watching her, and you feel like, you know, and there's just something so. And you know, you see the same thing in the U.S., but when it's put in different contexts that you're not used to, you don't take it for granted in the same way that you might, you know, like in familiar surroundings where, you know, you might see the same thing walking down the street, but it's blind, you know, you're blind to it. You just walk past it. But when you're in an unfamiliar place, suddenly everything's new, and you look at it through different eyes, and you just see. You see so many just small notes, you know, just really wonderful small notes that even if you don't incorporate it into your stories, you still take them in, and maybe you learn something, I don't know, but it's.
Well, you're talking about using these small notes and these small things, and I think when you incorporate it in your stories, there's such fantastical things happening. In a general sense, you have psychics, shapeshifters, pretty much any creature you can imagine. Yeah. But then you have these small moments of realism that really grounds your writing. And of course, when I'm talking about all these creatures, I'm talking about your Dirk and Steele series. My favorite series that you write. I have to say, I've read all of them.
Thank you.
And I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about that world and how that got started?
Oh gosh. You know, it got started, I don't even know exactly how to describe how it got started, because I wrote Tiger Eye. I wrote Tiger Eye in a month. You know, I took time off. I just passed, you know, I was admitted to the bar, you know, Wisconsin bar, state bar for practice.
Law.
Yeah,
you
law.
Just finished with law.
Thank you. And I'd never taken time off for myself. I had gone to school all the way straight through, never taken any time off, and I always knew that I wanted to write. And there was just this voice inside me that said, do it now. If you don't do it now, you're going to lose the opportunity. So I took a month off, and I wrote Tiger Eye. Well, you know, Tiger Eye is the start of the Dirk and Steele series, and so when I was writing, I was really writing something that I thought would be really fun to read, what I would enjoy reading. And I had spent a lot of time in Beijing, and I spent a lot of time in Panjiayuan, which is the dirt market, and they have a lot of swords there. And I'd always been fascinated with swords and weaponry. And so, and there was this character, and I just thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if you know, she can just hear things, you know, from, I don't know why I thought metal in particular, but I think because I had, you know, I had been over there recently and I'd seen just a lot of, you know, weaponry and things like that. I think you know, it was just in my head. And so, so I went from there, and so I'm, you know, I'm writing about, and then there's, you know, the shapeshifter, and there's the, you know, the riddle box. Because when you're in the dirt market, when you're in Pajian, and when you're in China, you feel like, you know, you see these little old women who are selling these things that look just like they're, I mean, I kid you not, I'm not exaggerating. You see these objects, and it's easy for your imagination to take the next step and say, you know, wow, you know, what if? Because they look so old, and, you know, a lot of times they're not, but either way, they look old, and they have the right atmosphere, and so, you know, again, going back to finding those stories, finding those little notes that just inspire you. And so, so yeah, and, you know, tigers have always been, you know, one of my favorite animals, and so and then once I got deeper into the story, I thought, well, what the heck? You know, I didn't have a contract. I was just writing this for myself. I thought, what, you know, it'd be fun if there were a bunch of guys running around who were also psychic. And they're all, you know, okay. And so, you know, it was sort of an organic process. I didn't set out with a plan to say, you know, I'm going to do this and this and this. It was just as I wrote, I was having a lot of fun. And I just kept putting things in that I thought would be a lot of fun. And and I'm still doing that. You know, each book, I try to write about things that I think will be, you know, interesting to read about, that I think would be fun to read about, and you know, I think people want to be entertained. I think when you pay $6.99 or $7.99 for, you know, it's like getting a movie ticket, or you pay that money for a book, you want to be entertained, you want to be taken away, and
adventures.
You want your adventures, and it's a joy, and it's a real, you know, I pinch myself all the time. I'm so grateful that I get a chance to actually, you know, write adventures for a living and actually, you know, tell stories. And I mean, I'd always wanted that for myself, but to be able to do it now, especially, you know, over the past couple of years, it just blows my mind sometimes. I'm still not used to it. I'm still not used to it.